All right, we're being recorded. Hi, everyone. I'm going to start now because I know we have a few minutes here. I know, first of all, Renee, thank you for having me. And I've been told and been reading here that you guys have had an awesome conference this week. So hopefully, all of you got this information in here and sinking it in your future endeavors here. So good luck to you with that. And I know there are current teachers. I know there are future teachers in here and other guests. Thank you for joining this session. I will try my best to somehow, some way, do a two-week lecture into a 1 hour session here about special ed. This is a resource-driven course that I teach at Pierce College. So I'm going to try to be informative and answer all your questions today. A quick background. My name is Enriquez. I will explain about this system in a little bit here. I used to work for the regional center system, both West Side and North LA Regional Center. My heart and passion is birth to age 3. I work in Early Start. I was the director of Early Start recently at North LA Regional Center. So I have 24, 25 years experience there working with children with disabilities, especially birth to 3. I currently now work for Accredited Home Care. I'm the manager for respite and caregiving services for Regional Center consumers, which again, we'll go over the Regional Center in a little bit here. Currently, this is my 20th year anniversary, everyone. I'm an adjunct child development adjunct professor at Pierce College, and this is my 20th year anniversary. And for the last 20 years, obviously, times have changed, things have changed, and classrooms now to this point, virtual and all this stuff. So I've seen it all in the last 20 years. So I really felt old this past semester when one of the students told me that their mother took my class. I hate you. I dropped her. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, we're going to talk about special ed and the federal mandates and all that stuff. So again, I'll be glad to share this PowerPoint with you guys. I know Renee will be doing that. So this is important information for you guys to know, because as you move forward becoming teachers, you guys need to know the bylaws and the process of the special ed laws and the IEP process. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to come back to you for any questions. I'm going to try to go every 3 minutes, come back to you for questions, okay? Because I know when I share my screen, I won't be able to see all of you, okay? Wow, we got 50 people in this room. It's like paparazzi. Thank you. Oh my God, I feel popular. Here we go. Right. The first thing we're going to talk about is the laws, okay? You guys need to know this. Some of you already know this, so I understand it, but I'm going to go through this, okay? So, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Everyone, this is the federal mandate. This is the federal law that encompasses special education for all children from birth to age 3 or birth to age 22, okay? Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So, if you had a midterm with me, you're going to pretty much have to define what IDEA stands for, but no midterms, I promise. So this is the federal law that ensures and mandates services to all children who qualify for special education. So some of you have heard the terminology of the IEP and so forth. This is the law that instates that particular process called the IEP, okay? IDEA is broken down to 2 sections, okay? One is called IDEA Part C, all right? It's broken down to 2 sections here. IDEA Part C is special ed, but in the federal terms, they call it early intervention, okay? Birth to age 3, okay? In California, the program that houses early intervention and early start, maybe some of you might want to go into early start and profession and so forth. The Regional Centers of California, which I'm going to talk about in about 20 minutes or so, houses the early start program in California. Every other state has its own state program, but every state in the U.S. has early intervention, okay? I'll talk about that more thoroughly later, okay? IDEA Part B, which is I think most of you are going to school age, right? Elementary school years and high school. IDEA Part B is when you hear the terminology called the IEP process. IDEA Part B describes and defines the mandate of special education services from children age 3 to age 22. Regardless of what state in the United States, school districts are responsible to carry out IDEA Part B, okay? So hence, that defines the IEP process, which we're going to go over, I promise, okay? Today, for early intervention, we have 400,000 eligible infants and toddlers and families that we serve Actually, this is California. So we serve 400,000 eligible infants here and toddlers, IDEA Part C. Those numbers are growing, trust me, okay? Especially with the growth of autism, okay? And currently for school district folks, we serve 6.5 million children and youth who receive special ed services and related services to meet their individual needs in special education. So 6.5 million, growing. I know some of the questions about boys versus girls. I can tell you this, most of the children in special ed, pretty much like a 65%, 35% split are boys, okay? That's something for you guys to read more articles on and so forth. So I'm just sharing that with you, okay? Before I go on to the next PowerPoint, I'm gonna stop here. And I'm gonna ask any of you have any questions, you can just shout it out, or I'm trying to read the chat if any of you have questions, but does any of you have questions about the federal mandates? We're good?
You good?
What is the
Yes.
federal mandate?
Federal mandate, Shanae, you're going to look back in it because I know people are coming in. It's Individuals with
Okay.
Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, Part B and C. You'll get that PowerPoint. That's the federal mandate throughout our U.S., the country of U.S., implementing the special ed programming in the U.S. Okay, I'm going to move on here. Sorry. Hold on here. All right. I'll talk about early start first. All right. For all of you, maybe personal or professional level, if you work with children from birth to 3, or if you know someone from birth to 3, personal level, this will be a great resource for you. This is something you guys should know because I know you guys are going to be focusing on school age or working in elementary school years, but I need to share this with you because special ed actually starts at birth. So some of you, you're going to work in early start, or some of you may work with children under 3 on a personal, maybe in a preschool setting. Maybe you may look at or observe children who are exhibiting delays or some form of concerns with their overall development. Well, this is a great resource for you, okay? So right now I'm going to talk about early start. Again, early start is under IDEA. It's a federal program, okay? Every state carries this program and we all carry it the same way because it's a federal mandate. So what is early start? For North LA, I'm not going to show this slide, but to make a point of this, for North LA Regional Center, I'm not going to show that slide because it's a little bit too, we already went over this. The California CISA, the early start program that's run by the state of California, just to let you know, DDS is our state department, Department of Developmental Services. They're the ones that make sure that California is running the early start program and following the federal mandates, okay, of early start, okay? 1993, just to let you guys know, Early Start became an official program throughout the whole entire state, United States. It became its own department. Instead of mixing it in with special ed in elementary school years, Early Start became its own department or its own IDEA Part C. So in 1993, pretty much Early Start became official. Okay, now this is what I want you guys to, of all the slides I'm going to show you, this is huge here, okay? Because Early Start has a different eligibility criteria versus school district, okay? So for a child birth to 3, remember, Early Start is a benefit, it's a beneficial services for these children because it early starts their growth and development as they go through the school age years, maybe receiving special ed services. So Early Start, you have 3 categories. Okay, 3 categories that will make a child eligible for early start. Once they're eligible, they can receive early start services. We'll go over that in a little bit here, what kind of services we provide them. Okay, but these are the 3 categories, pretty much in order of the number of referrals that receive. If a child birth to 3 is exhibiting a 33% delay or a 3rd delay in any of these 5 domains, they will qualify for early start. So I'm going to use an example of because my math skills are off here. So I'm going to use an example of a 24-month-old, okay? A 24-month-old comes in, we do an assessment, all right? We have to do a full assessment. If the child is exhibiting a 3rd delay, so 24 divided by 3, which is a 3rd, is 8. 24 minus 8 is 16 months. So if a child is performing a 16th month level or below in any of these 5 domains, they qualify for early start. Okay. So if you guys know someone on a personal level or professional level, and you're seeing some children under age 3 exhibiting some delays, you will call their local regional center to initiate an early start referral. Okay, and we'll go over that in a little bit here about the referral process. Another category is called high risk factors. These are conditions, okay, that may lead, like a medical condition that may lead to someone having a permanent developmental disability. Okay, so a high risk factor, for example, if a child is born premature, under 32 weeks gestation, under 1,500 grams, that is a child that's going to qualify for early start automatically. We have a lot of children who are medically dependent on ventilators and have medical issues. We have a lot of children in DCFS, the foster home placement program. We have a lot of children prenatally drug exposed. Those are high risk factors, okay? So those children with those high risk factors are also a qualifier for early start program, okay? And established risk, here in California, we develop a category. So basically, I'm going to go over that in a little bit here, but established risk means that a child that is birth to 3, okay, that means they're going to be permanent regional center clients for the rest of their lives. And established risk basically means they have a permanent developmental disability under these 4 categories: autism, intellectual disability, which is mental retardation. We can start diagnosing MR or intellectual disability at age 3. Autism, we can diagnose very young now, 18 months, 14 months now. And then the other 2 categories is epilepsy, seizures, and cerebral palsy. So again, those are established risks. We'll go over the regional center system in a little bit here, but I know I'm going a little bit too fast, but if you can remember this PowerPoint, if you work with children and you're feeling that one of these kiddos are in these categories, then it's time for you to call the parents, give that resource for them to call the regional center in California to start that early start referral. Okay, because it's to make you guys make more sense out of this, look at this as a special education program. We just call it early start. Okay, I'm going to stop the slide. I'm going to have any questions. Any questions? Oh man, there's a lot of people in this room.
I have a question.
Okay, hold on. Nancy, go first.
For these services, the regional, is that available for every parent?
Yes. So in the state of
Regardless
California,
of income or
yes.
Or like, okay, thank you.
Income has no factor. So families, the socioeconomic status has no factor in this. Everyone has availability for this service. Everyone in California.
And is it like local to where you live, or?
Yeah, Nancy, I'm going to talk about the regional center. We have 21 regional centers in California. I'm going to talk about the regional centers next.
Okay,
21 regional centers are assigned to a catchment or geographic area of California. So pending where you live, I will give you that information, that particular regional center who you call to initiate that intake.
And it's even if, let's say you think that the 33%, it might be like 30 or 25. Is it still okay to get assessed at a regional center? Like, recommend to get assessed at a regional center?
Nancy, here's my thing to all of you, Nancy. So if you work with a child or have a child on a personal or know a child on a personal level, if you feel there are delays, period, right? You're not going to know, unless you're really into this field, you're not going to know exactly how much percentage or how delayed they are. So, but if you have a sense of a child being delayed, to all of you in this room, refer the family to the regional center because they're going to get a free assessment. Okay? These assessments are free and these services are free. So make the referral, let the family make that choice to make that referral, right? It's parent choice, it's voluntary. But once they make that call, the regional centers and the early start program are going to do an assessment for that child and let them determine if they qualify, how much they're delayed. Okay? Now, if they don't fit into the category, they just won't qualify for early start. Nancy, did I answer your question?
Yes, that makes sense. Even more so. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay. Anyone else before I move on? There are
May I have a question?
Yes, Carolina.
So my son was enrolled in regional center. So last year, because of the pandemic and all this, I didn't get the appointment with the person that go and check like every year how
Oh.
he's doing all this.
Sure.
So can I go back?
Carolina,
Yes.
I'm going to give you my email, and I want you to email me because I don't want to talk about cases during this conference.
Okay, perfect.
I'll
Thank
give
you.
you my email in the chat room. Don't worry. Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to go kind of, where's early start here? All right, so real quick, you're going to get these PowerPoints. I know the school district, you guys call it IEPs. For early start, it's called individualized family service plans. Okay, the key word to this is the F word. It's family. There's a big difference between an IFSP and an IEP. In the IFSP, in early start, the difference is that the family's involved. The emotions are there. We help the parents adjust to their child's disability. The stressor for families, okay? Remember, early start goes till age 3, third birthday. After third birthday, guess where they go? They go to the school district. This is why I need to explain to you the early start process, because when you guys get children at age 3, 4, and 5, most likely they receive services from early start. Okay, so this is why I have to explain the process. To make a long story short, our plan in early start is called Individualized Family Service Plan. Emphasize the F word, family. That's the focus point of this whole process with early start, because parents have to participate in all the services the child's receiving, okay? And just to make a long story shorter, all of the services in early start are done in the child's natural environments, okay? Family's home, neighborhood park, gyms in the mall, wherever. These are natural environments. This is not in a classroom setting, okay? This is why families have a hard time transitioning to the school district, because once involved in the school district, it becomes a classroom setting. You see the difference? So that's one of the main differences between early start and then school district special ed, okay? I'm gonna move forward. I'm going a little fast. IFSPs, I know IEPs reviewed annually or if needed sooner. IFSPs reviewed every 6 months, just to let you know. And again, like the IEPs, we have outcomes and goals and so forth. But for federal mandates for early start, we have to at least call the family every 6 months with their IFSP team just to review progress. Okay. If you guys want a job in the regional centers, maybe some of you, I know most of you guys are future teachers in here, but maybe some of you might become interested in working in the regional center. I used to supervise them, so they're called service coordinators. They're actually like social workers, but service coordinators are the titles that are given to them that work at the regional center. It's exactly what it's called, service coordinators. Your job is to coordinate the resources and services for your children and families in your caseload, okay? To make it a long story short, so some of you have child development majors, education majors. If you guys want to veer into the social work part of education, regional centers always are hiring, and this is a good experience for you guys. So you guys know the case management and the social work side of things, okay? I'm going to come back to you. Hold on. Again, I already explained this to you, although you're going to get this PowerPoint. Parents and families have a major role in early start. They're the ones who have to get the recommendations by the therapist. And when the therapist goes home, they have to become the therapist and work the services with their child during the week, okay? So parent participation is huge. Natural environments, again, we talked about this. Early start, all the services are provided in their natural environment, and this is a federal mandate. However, I can admit to this, there are some therapists, you know, for whatever reason, can't go to the home and so forth. We get that. We do have clinics or offices in the community that early start children can go to the clinic and get therapy as well for whatever services they may need. Yeah, we'll get a slap on the wrist by the state, but I'd rather have the child get services than wait for someone to come to their home. Because sometimes, depending on the service deliveries and so forth, we want to get the services started in a hurry in early start so we can get things going, okay? So yeah, I may have given you the natural environment speech here, but just to let you know, we do have clinics and businesses in the community that provides the services that are non-natural environment, okay? The IFSP team, just go over real quick, it could consist of your service coordinators, possible child development specialists. Listen, there's another job opportunity. If you want to work with children from birth to 3 as quote unquote teachers, we call them child development specialists. So if you want to go veer into the birth to 3 field, they're called child development specialists. And from there, you would work with many of your children in your caseload. You go to their home and you are the teacher working with that child overall developmentally. So that's kind of a cool job too. And these are some of the professionals that may be part of the IFSP team, or these are some of the professions in the field of special ed that you might be interested in going into as well. Okay, just want to give you that opportunity. Okay, every child is different, so every child has a different IFSP team. Okay. Real quick, the providers have to give us reports every 6 months, give them recommendations throughout the week. We have a medical team. Every regional center has a medical unit. So their job is to get current medical records every year for that particular client, just to make sure that we're following medical guidelines with their medical team as well. So every child in the Early Start program, in their IFSP team, they're pediatricians on the team. Okay, we include them. We give them a copy of the IFSP so they know what's going on with their patient. Okay, and real quick, the transition process. So this is called the transition. So when a child is 2.5 years old in Early Start, receiving Early Start services, we start to prepare the transition. So at 2.5 or older, whenever they get into our system, we start, it's called transition because we're helping them transition to IDEA Part B. We have to prepare them when they turn 3, the school districts start services at age 3. So we begin the transition process at 2.5 and older. Hopefully the IEP is held by then. If it's a nice smooth transition, if you will, smooth transition. If it's a smooth transition, by age 3, our children at Early Start have had their IEP, and hence when their child turns 3, they'll receive their IEP services with the school district. In a perfect world, that's what the transition process is. Yeah, there are hiccups and delays, but we're not going to go into that. But a transition process simply means that for Early Start, it transitions themselves to the preschool part of the IEP process to the school district. There are a lot of transitions in schools, right? So Early Start to preschool, preschool to school age to middle school to high school, and then high school to college or vocational skills, right? Those are transition steps. So this is the Early Start transition to the school district, okay? Before a child turns 3, blah, blah, we won't get into that. These are the resources that you guys will grab here in the PowerPoint, and I'll be glad to send you some too. I'm going to stop here because I know I went a little fast, but I wanted to make sure that I answer all your questions before I go on to the next slide. Questions on Early Start?
For the hi,
Hi,
for
Eileen.
for the Early Start, if a child is 2.11 months, 2
Right.
year and 11 months,
That's right.
but the parent just finally say, "Oh, I want to do a referral." So, is it okay that I suggest the parent to wait until the child turns 3 to do a referral?
Okay, so this is my suggestion. So if a child's 211, because I'm going to give you timelines here, okay? So I forgot, Eileen, you asked a question, right? So Eileen, so when a family calls the Regional Center for Early Start Services, we have a 45-day process to determine eligibility. That's our federal mandate, 45-day process, okay? So obviously, if a child's 211, 210, we're not going to quite make the 45-day process. However, okay, even though the child's referred to us at 211, we will help them transition to the school district. Okay. The only thing, Eileen, I cannot promise you, if that 211, pending where they're at 2 years 11, you know, I don't know if we're enough time to give them Early Start services. So we're going to have to do a quick transition to the school district. Okay. And for timelines, Early Start is a 45-day timeline. For the school district, so if you have a child over 3, we'll go over that in a little bit here, it's a 60-day timeline. Okay, that's the federal mandate. Okay, we'll go over that in a little bit. Eileen, did I answer your question?
So that means,
Eileen, unmute.
so that means it's good for the children to wait until 3 to do the process, because the 45-day they can't meet it.
Well, it's a good idea to get in. Well, this is what I tell Eileen. This is what I tell families. You may as well get the evaluation from Early Start because it's free. Because then the parents will kind of know, right, if they're going to qualify, if what the delays are. But also, Eileen, I'm going to talk about the regional center next, because then they may qualify for the regional center. Because depending on the concerns, we're going to talk about the regional center now in about 2 seconds here. Maybe If the concerns like autistic features, seizures, epilepsy, it's a good idea to make that referral to the regional center at least simultaneously with the school district.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's an overwhelming process. Trust me. I can't do this in an hour. Believe me, I will email you my email address so we can talk further.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anyone else before I go into the regional center side of things? No one has questions? Man, you're like my students. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I'm going to skip over to the regional center side. Okay, actually, hold on. Yeah, let's talk about the regional. Either way, we're good. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to skip around. We're going to talk about the IEP process, okay? Because it kind of piggybacks to the early start part of it, all right? So this is the IEP. Some of you, most of you have heard of the IEP process. It's Individualized Education Program or Plan. This is the plan that is given to all children who qualify and are eligible for special ed students, okay? Before I move to this presentation, I just want to let you guys know, teachers, future teachers and current teachers, you guys are vital in this process, okay? Because if you do have a student in your classroom that may be struggling in your classroom or may have some needs, you know, learning disability or some form of concern you may think the student may have, you are the one that must initiate the IEP referral in a classroom setting. This is why teachers, you're important for this. So if you notice a child is struggling or a pupil is struggling in your classroom, you are the ones that must recognize this, right? And initiate the IEP process with your administrator, your vice principal, your principal in your school. That's where it starts, all right? This is why special ed is huge, because as teachers, whether or not you teach in special ed or regular ed, you must identify children who potentially have delays or have issues in a classroom setting. That's your job, okay? So this is why this lecture or this presentation is huge for you, okay? So this is an IEP. I'm going to go over it real quick. So every child who gets special ed services qualified gets an IEP plan. We just went over the Regional Center Early Start Plan. It's called IFSP. But for education, for IEPs, the one thing about IEPs, not to knock school districts or the federal plan, it's just the family is not involved in these plans. It's more educational related in the classroom, okay? So that's a big difference. That's why early start families have a hard time transitioning to the IEP plan, okay? Because they miss that family component. They miss their therapists going to the homes, all right? For parents, we have to help, as regional center staff, right? We have to help the family transition to the IEP process and hopefully make them feel a little bit more comfortable, okay? I'm not going to go over all the overall IEP stuff, but basically it's an overall strategy designed to deliver special ed services for children aged 3 to 22. Yes, special ed services ends at age 22, okay? Some may graduate at age 18 for the California testing and so forth, or some children will finish the certification program at age 22, okay? Legally, in a perfect world, it is a 60-day referral process. So when that family leaves that voicemail with the school district to initiate the IEP or special ed services, it's a 60-day process, okay? Within 30 days, usually that particular IEP team or assessment team, depending on the child's needs, will schedule the assessment part of it, usually within 30 days, the assessment team, okay? After the assessments are done, the assessors have done their reports, right? Then the IEP meeting will be scheduled after that. In a perfect world, again, things may delay things, I understand that, but 60 days, the IEP must be completed, and by the 60th day, services must start. Federal mandated, all right? Who goes to the meetings? So when you guys sit in IEP meetings, I want to ask the question, for those who have sat in IEP meetings, right? Parents control this. It's the child's party. They can invite whoever they want. Former therapist, nanny, somebody that works with the child can go to the IEP meeting, right? Family guest, special ed and irregular ed teacher must be present at the IEP. Representative administratives from the school district. It's usually the vice principal or the principal or some form of administrative personnel that will moderate the IEP. And of course, other professionals may be part of it, especially the ones who assess the child will be part of the meeting. Sometimes families bring their own private folks, which is fine. Again, parents must let the school district know how many people are coming so the school district is prepared, okay? But it is controlled by the child and the family. Some families do not bring their children because distractions, right? This is about a 3-hour meeting, 2-3-hour meeting. So depending on your child and the attention span, maybe it's a good idea to get a sitter or something for that 3 hours so mom and dad can concentrate on the IEP. Okay? I know I'm going a little bit fast here. Again, the IEP, the elements, present levels of their current developmental levels, annual goals, benchmarks, special ed services that the child's going to get in the IEP, education or statement which the student will or not participate in a general ed classroom. Everyone, in an IEP, students can be in special ed classrooms, but some of them are pretty high functioning, can actually enter a typical classroom as well, like for math or English. So the whole concept, and I'm very passionate about this, it's full inclusion. Children belong to their schools, all classrooms. They have a right and opportunity to be taught in a regular classroom setting versus a special ed classroom if they are able to, and especially with supports. All right. I'm very passionate about inclusion. We have to start to include these folks. That's been an issue all these years, is inclusion. I know outside of the school district, you can watch news, you can watch all this stuff. We're somewhat divided in this nation. Everyone in this room tonight, look at the multicultural diversity in this classroom. After whatever you learned today, I want you guys to remember, we belong. Okay, we belong. I want you to remember that. I want you to carry that message to your students in the future. Okay, we belong. Let them feel belong. If a child has a disability or autism in your classroom, teachers, it's your job. Make them belong. Okay, that's my message to you. All right. Also, what's also presented, they're going to project a date of the initiation of services, and obviously we're going to do an annual meeting every year. Parents are allowed to call an IEP meeting prior to the year. So if they feel the IEP is not working out, they can call for an IEP meeting within the year. Okay. Again, these are purposes, stuff you can read. These are the qualifiers for special ed services. I have 10, some school districts have 12, some have 14, but these are pretty much the core. Some school districts break down these categories a little bit more in advance. This is why I'm showing you this. Obviously, this is a little different from early start, okay? You only had 3 categories, but these are some of the categories to which children can become eligible for special ed services in your school district, all right? From autism to orthopedic. This is the most popular one still, is learning disabilities. That's still number 1, even way over autism. Learning like dyslexia, ADHD, learning disabilities is the number 1 eligibility criteria for children who receive special ed services through the school district, all right? Deaf and hard of hearing, multiple disabilities, because some of them may have a combination of things. Intellectual disability, formerly known as mental retardation, is a category. Hearing impaired, speech and language impairment only. So depending on the child's eligibility criteria, that's going to define their IEP services, okay? And again, we're going to talk about services and closing, securing signatures. I'm not going to go into, yes, the question is, do parents always agree to the IEP plan? The answer is no, okay? They have a right to an appeals process. I'm not going to go into that, but the parents control this. If the parents love the IEP plan for their child, yes, they're going to close it out and with the signatures and so forth. But there are some situations where the families are not content with the IEP plan. They're not going to sign the IEP at that time, and they're going to move further along with the appeals process, okay? I'm going to stop here because I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions right about here. Here we go. Okay, again, the IEP process starts at age 3. Now, if you work with a child on a personal professional level or know a child, right, that never received early start services, that's okay. Now, if you work with a preschool kid, right, 4 and 5 years old, and you're like, wow, there's something going on with this kid, let the family know who to call the school district, okay? Call the school district. I only have LA Unified's number, and I know a lot of you, in fairness, don't work for LA Unified or live in LA. I can give you the LA Unified number off the bat, but, okay, It starts with that phone call. Now, again, Dominic and Nancy, I know you have questions. I know Liberty has a question there too. Again, this is a voluntary type program. Okay, every school district is different. The whole idea is for you guys, teachers, right? They have to succeed in your classroom. Okay, if the families are not following through the IEP process, believe me, the teacher and the principal and the parents are going to have a meeting about this, because the teacher is solely responsible for all the children in the classroom, not just one. Okay, and the job for you, teachers in current and present, is for you to have that child succeed in the classroom. If the parents are not following through with the IEP process to get supports for them to be successful in the classroom, then you're going to have a private meeting with that parent and the principal and so forth to talk about that particular child's progress. All right, Nancy, then I'm going to go to Dominic. Nancy.
Hi, thank you. My question is, I know that it's for us educators, but are the parents also able to make that referral themselves?
Yes. Nancy, good question. Nancy, all of you in this classroom, I know you guys are teachers. This is not for students. This is, if you can spread this out to the community and to the parents, that'd be awesome. Nancy, the parents are the experts. They're the ones that have to make the referral to the regional center and or the IEP process. It's parent driven. You can suggest or recommend it to the parent, but it is the parent that has to call the school district or the regional center for early start to initiate that process.
Okay, thank you very much. And also, where can parents or us as educators find that information?
I'm going to give you the website right now. I can't multitask. So after I talk a little bit, I'm going to give you some websites so you guys can go into the regional center, and the school district is pretty much their home school. So if it's El Unified or Whittier School District, whatever school district you belong to, I don't know all their phone numbers, but you would simply call the special education department for each school district to initiate that process. Dominic.
Thank you.
No, thanks, Nancy. Dominic.
Yes, I wanted to get some advice on how, as educators, we were distinguished between just actual intellectual delays and someone just falling behind.
Yeah, Dominic, in our field, Dominic, we can only recognize delays. I'm in the field for 25 years. I don't diagnose. I never do. But I recognize the need and the delay. If I see that, Dominic, I'm going to get my resources and give them all to the parents to call. It is a child. This is why I teach child development, because the number one thing for child development students, and for all of you, you guys need to understand milestones, right? Dominic made a good point. You guys need to recognize delays, right? You guys are school age. My heart and soul is birth to 3. I can observe children birth to 3 and I already know if they have delays or not, right? But you as educators, for you guys, if they're struggling in a classroom setting, that's your benchmark, Dominic. If they're struggling, then you have to take notes and make some observations, and then you make that meeting with the family about the IEP process.
Okay, thank you.
Jasmine.
Hello, I have a quick question. I'm so sorry if you already answered it.
No.
I've been back and forth with both of my kids.
No worries.
I do have a son who is autistic, and I'm enrolling him into school, right? I wanted to see if he can get an aide because he is considered, I guess, like a danger to himself because he runs out to the street and
Right.
runs out of doors. They told me that I cannot request for one because there should be enough teachers in the classroom. Should I try to fight that, or is that
Jasmine?
okay?
If this is regarding your IEP, so this is an example of what you had your son's IEP, correct, Jasmine?
Not yet. So we're in the process of that because
Okay.
once they told me that, I was like, I got
Jasmine, I'm going to give this. I used to be an advocate, but I want to give you that much advice. But here's my advice to you: at your IEP meeting, okay, Jasmine, you're going to list your concerns about your son, why he needs a one-on-one.
Okay.
So in your IEP meeting, this is your meeting, Jasmine. This is your son's meeting. Request the service.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Let's go Nancy again. Or Brenda.
Yes.
if we as a teacher only have a slight suspicion of delay and parents feel that they are noticing, can they still submit the request to LAUSD, even the as a teacher we only have a minimum suspicious?
Brenda, as I said before earlier, if you even have a suspicion, make the referral.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want to protect yourself. Because if you make the referral, let the assessors make that determination. Because let's say you don't make the referral and the child continues to struggle, Brenda, you're going to live with that for a while. So make the referral, make it safe, let the family go through the assessment process. Again, the assessment process is painless, it's free. Let the assessors tell the parents that, hey, we do have concerns, right? And Brenda made a good point, right? So then if a delay is recognized, then the child can get appropriate services. And Brenda, when that child gets services, Brenda, your child's going to be successful in your classroom. That's the whole goal.
Yeah, thank you.
Lena, go ahead. Man, I'm going to try to get to all of you.
Yeah, hi. First of all, super informational. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
But
Lena.
I want your opinion on how to deal with parents in denial.
There is no opinion. Lena, here's my experience working with parents. Unless you have a child with special needs, you will never understand their emotions and feelings behind this. So don't. And the famous quote to all of you, never say to a parent, I understand, because you don't. All right. So mental health, we just had a lecture on mental health last night. You as teachers cannot measure a parent's mental health, and don't even go there in terms of, you can recognize they may need help, right, through counseling and so forth. But yeah, mental health is a great aspect to this in education field. I'm not an expert in it, but if you have some families or parents that are going through these stuff in personal manners, refer them to the counseling department and so forth, and help them with that. As teachers, you have boundaries here. And I know a lot of you are personally attached to your parents. I know you love them, you want to help them, but you teachers have to draw the line, okay? You have boundaries. Give them to the appropriate professional to handle all the other stuff you cannot control, okay? Only control things you can, okay? I hope that answered your question. Deborah, I think I saw Deborah or somebody.
You did. That was one of my questions as well, because sometimes parents have some very extreme resistance when you tell them they have a child with a learning delay.
You're right.
And then they come back at your admin, or they
That's
come
right.
back at you personally.
Yep.
How do you protect yourself in those instances?
Well, Deborah, first of all, I got a lot of those in the regional center for 25 years. I've been called many things. And I didn't even do the assessment. So listen, Deborah and everyone in this room, be proud of what you do. You are protected, okay? You're doing your job. Whoever assesses, whoever gives a diagnosis, that was my job in the regional center. Your child is 3 years old, you qualify for the regional center. I'm gonna go over that in a little bit. Your child is diagnosed with intellectual disability. That just changed. It used to be called mental retarded. How do you like to give that speech to the parents? Right. So you are going to give it to them as a professional. Don't go behind the bush here. You got to be honest with them. Well, maybe he's autistic. Maybe he's not. No, he's autistic. Let the parent have the emotions. They have to go through that. They may call you things that you probably don't want to hear. But at the end of the day, we do our jobs and we control what we can. We cannot control the emotions from the families. And most of the time, in the regional center, some families are asking me, can you change it? Renee, all the school districts, right? Hey, can you guys change the diagnosis so other teachers can know that I got this and I got that? Deborah, stick with your guns, stick with the assessment, stick with the diagnosis. You are lying to the parents if you're changing it. So don't. Trust your instincts, trust the professionals. You're right, Deborah. You're going to have a lot of emotions from parents, but that's not your job. You already did it. And the other side of the coin, Deborah, we may give the diagnosis to families and they never call the IEP process, right? Again, you cannot take that personally, Deborah. It's parent driven, it's volunteer, okay? On the other side, professionals can get upset too, right? But we can't, okay? We do our job, we move forward, because promise you, Deborah, and to all of you, there's another child in line waiting for you. Okay. Deborah, I hope I answered your question. Jasmine, did I
Yes,
answer
thank you
that?
very much.
Are we good? I'm going to talk about the regional center. I know I have like 10 minutes here. Okay, I'm going to go to the regional center, then I promise you I'll be open to questions. This
Oh
is
no,
quick.
I had already asked my question, but I know that I don't know. It says Christian Steve, and she's been asking to ask you a question, but nobody
Oh,
has.
go ahead. Christine,
I
go.
want to ask you a question. It was more of a personal question.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, it's kind of a two-part question. First, what made you come into your field? Because I mean, it's very difficult to do what you do. And second, what would be something that you would say to a new teacher to make them come into your field?
Listen, so back in college, 1987, I was a freshman at Long Beach State, right? So my original major was physical therapy, not happening, all right? So I always packed my little, I had a moped, a scooter back then, and I always parked in the child development department because it was always free. Just to be honest with you, it was free parking. So every time after class I would go there, I always passed the preschool center, and hence my love for children grew from there. And then I declared my major in early childhood development. To this day, I'm the only male to graduate at Long Beach State in child development. So I'm proud of that, but I need more males in this field, right? My mom to this day, and people, my friends, still thinks I did it for the girls in college. Maybe, but I'm not going to tell you that part. But child development's my love. So I focus on child development and special ed graduating. When I got my master's in 2000, going back to Long Beach, I got my job at Pierce College 3 months later. And so working at the regional center, you got to have passion in this field. You got to have dedication. There are a lot of people, a lot of my friends personally cannot be in this field. You have to have your heart and your dedication and passion for children, number one, to even introduce yourself to work with children. You got to have that. And I know you guys will get this beaten down to a pulp here. Multicultural diversity. Everyone in this room, teachers, I'm looking at this, my presentation here. You guys must accept multicultural diversity, all the students that you teach. You may disagree with certain things of their culture, but you have to respect them, okay? Respect their culture. My number one advice to you, because if you don't belong in this field. I'm sorry, okay? We can have differences of opinions, but please respect your students' culture. Okay? They come from different backgrounds. You have to transition to them. Okay? As you and the cultures from the different families and kids you work with have to transition to you as a teacher as well. Okay? Okay, I'm going to go over the regional center. A lot of you don't know about the regional centers. The regional centers is only a state of California. It's only given in the state of California. This is not in your midterm. Frankie Lanterman, there's a law called the Lanterman Act. This is the reason why the Lanterman Act exists today, and this is why the regional centers exist, okay? I'm giving this lecture last because this has nothing to do with the school district, okay? However, this is an important resource for teachers because, again, you guys may make a referral for that child to the regional center, and this is how or why you would make a referral to the regional center. So here we go. The Lanterman Act in 1968 was developed. Ronald Reagan was our governor. I'm old here, so some of you may not know who Ronald Reagan is, but Ronald Reagan was our governor in California. He was the one who signed the Lanterman Act here in the state of California. Okay? What is the Lanterman Act? 1969, it gave persons with developmental disabilities the right to get services and support they need to live like people like us. They're equal to us. Because in the 1900s and 1800s, these folks are in state hospitals, asylums being experimented on and abused. 1969, they took that away. The Lanterman Act protected these folks. Okay, to make a long story short, all right. The first regional center established was in Children's Hospital. It was called the Lanterman Regional Center, 1966. Just for good. Now we have 21 regional centers. Okay, each regional center encompasses a geographic area of California. Okay, we're run by the state of Department of DDS, Department of Dental Services. You guys are Department of Education. We are State Department of Dental Services. Okay, obviously each regional center has a board of directors with 20. Today, I can tell you this: 21 regional centers in California. We serve over 480,000 clients, consumers in California through the regional center system. 480,000 and growing. Okay. Now, here's the ones I want you guys to know before I leave today. These are the people that qualify for the regional center. You remember in Early Start, we talked about established risk. This is what established risk is. These consumers are going to receive regional center services for life. I'm going to give you the website and all that so you guys can look into it. Okay. It's DDS website. It's a very cool website to talk about the regional centers of what kind of services they provide. Okay. So for a person or a child or adult to be a regional center consumer for life, they have to fall under these conditions: intellectual disability, mental retardation, same thing, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism. Autism is a growing lecture. We just had the lecture 3 weeks ago. 1 in 54 children are being diagnosed with autism now. Okay, so that's going to be an alarming child rate going into your school programs. Okay, autism is another lecture. I'm not going to go into that. And then we have a category called the 5th category, conditions closely related to intellectual disability. So we have a lot of children and adults who have significant medical conditions that are ID level. Okay, they'll just be placed either ID or the 5th category. But these disabilities here that we described in the Lanterman Act, they must originate prior 18 years of age. Unfortunately, if someone comes to me at age 30 and didn't get recognized before age 18, they will not qualify for the regional center. Again, these diagnoses, of all the things you learn about the regional centers, I'm going to give you the website here real quick. They must have these categories to become regional center clients for the rest of their lives. And again, in Early Start, some of these children have these conditions. That's why the 3rd category is called established risk. All right, real quick. DDS, we already talked. These are some of the services regional center provides to these our clients, right? Early Start behavior services, independent living skills for adults, case management, which is you, service coordinators if you want a job. These are just some of the services. You guys are going to, we provide respite care. That's the company that I work for. So if you guys are interested in providing caregiving, let me know. We do vocational training, lots of services, right? So again, I'm going to stop here because I just wanted you guys to understand. So as teachers, if you feel that the child has one of these 4 disabilities, okay, then you can let the family know to make the referral to the regional center as well. Regional centers in school districts are 1 + 1 = 2. We work together, we collaborate, we network. Okay. So again, some of the kids that you have in your classroom in special ed or regular ed may be a regional center client as well. Okay. Woo! There's so much to give you guys. God, Lord. What are some questions? I'm trying to help you guys here. I know you guys are busy today. What are some questions?
Hi.
Nobody has questions? Who has a question?
Christina, hi, how are you?
Christina, sorry, I can't go chat. Okay, I'll go to the chat soon.
Oh, that's okay. My question is, you said once they've been diagnosed, they can be part of the regional center as up to age 30 for.
Oh, regional center, it's for life.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And currently right now, do you guys have recreational or socializing activities?
For school-age children, I know we have social skills. So like for children with autism, we have difficulty with socialization. Usually it's an after-school service. We provide social skills. However, regional center, because it's a budget, we don't provide recreational stuff like horseback riding. But
like socializing or.
Yeah, we do have some socializing events that we can regional centers provide. Yeah, socialization. Let me tell you guys, teachers, this is a big state of California driven thing. There's 2 things in this field. Social emotional development is a big deal now in our field, right? So we're looking at children birth to 3. Mental health is going to be a huge aspect to our field today. All right, we cannot forget about mental health. That's another lecture. We just had that last night. So again, to all of you, use all your mental health resources you have in your school district, because I promise you, teachers, it's going to come up.
And you said you were going to provide the website?
Yeah, I just provided my, hold on. Everyone in the meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
That's my email. And here is the www.dds.ca.gov. That website is that's my email address above. And that's the website if you want to learn about the regional centers. Okay. Hey, Hiruko, go ahead.
Yes, hi. Thank you. You said earlier that referral or the process is initiated by parents, but you also said that teachers could start the referral process. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, the teachers can start the referral process. So you'll meet with the parent. I'm going to initiate the IEP process. The problem is some parents are hesitant because in order to start the IEP process, Haruko, the parents have to sign on to it. And sometimes parents are hesitant to sign on to it. So we do have those parents. The teacher, you did your job. And if the parents don't sign it, don't want to initiate the IEP process, then we have a little problem here because the teacher can do so much to further along that child's success within their classroom. But if that teacher feels you cannot, then you have to have a meeting with the principal and talk to the parent. We have to give some options here because maybe that classroom is not appropriate for that child. Right?
Okay, so the teacher talks to the parent, but they don't go to the regional centers or the school district. Right. The parents do that. But our responsibility as the teacher is to talk to the parents.
And Haruko, the teachers can talk to the parent. You can actually initiate the referral to your principal, but that's one thing. You did your job. Awesome. But the problem is there are some parents that don't want to sign on to it.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah,
okay. Got it. Thank you. And then the other question was, if you wanted to be that service coordinator, what's the qualification they look for? Thank you.
Man, the regional centers welcome all types of experience. Hopefully you have some experience of working with a population like children or adults, even with the field of special ed. They favor that. You know, when I was interviewing, if you were in child development, you're an automatic. So in early start's very unique because you actually have to understand the milestones and all that. But I hired folks from social work, from art major, right? Creativity. So it depends how you do in an interview, but your background experience helps, of course.
You don't need masters to begin.
No, for service coordinators, if you want to move up to management like me, you have to have a master's.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Good question, Ruko. Thank you. Who else? Becca, the answer to your question is yes. Or Deborah, the answer to your question is yes. Whoever wrote that question. Can parents of child with special needs be teachers? Yes. But for those parents becoming special ed teachers, please do not take it personal. How's that? Who else has questions? I know you guys have to leave. Who else has questions? I'm trying to bounce around. Dominic, go ahead before we go.
Yes, my nephew, he was born with some borderline autism.
Yeah.
And he started off at the regional center. Now he's entering preschool, so he's a part of the school district.
Yeah.
Like, is he still getting extra assistance, or how does that work?
Well, you're going to get your IEP services through the school district, right, Dominic? And then you can also get regional center services. The regional center services are typically for that age group. It's like respite, like what we do.
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, parents need a break. Well, call our company. We provide caregiving. And then the other services usually, Dominic, is ABA, Applied Behavioral Services, behavior intervention, right? Because those behavior services, you may get in the school district, but the behaviorists will work with the child in the home. So those are the common services that the regional center can provide along with that particular child's IEP services.
I'm just asking because my brother told me that once he got sent to the district, they kind of dropped him from regional services.
That's not true. Then that person has a terrible service coordinator. They're not doing them that justice. That's wrong.
All right, I'll have them try and find some extra.
Yeah, just talk about the services. Talk to the service coordinator. You're that particular child service coordinator. They're the ones that have to initiate all this. Don't tell them I said this, but they got to do their job.
All right, thank you.
Good. Abigail.
Hi. Let me see. Did I unmute? Okay, I did. Hi. I was wondering about kind of 2E and twice exceptional. How do I help support and understand, like, as I'm pursuing to become a teacher, but I'm also a mom of a 2E kid that's in TK, but he's doing, he's considered twice exceptional. So I wanted to know how to support a gen ed teacher doing that. And if I become an educator, how do you kind of help support somebody that has those disabilities as well as those exceptionalisms in a classroom.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. If a student is gifted, they're classified as special ed for some reason. I have no idea what it's, right? So that's weird. Abigail, you know, I don't have school district's resources, Abigail. You got to go to your school district and get all those resources. What I do, I read on things because there are a lot of things I don't know about the systems and so forth and disabilities and stuff. You research, you call your school district, and you make sure that you get all the resources you can from them for your family and the parents and the students that you're dealing with, Abigail, as a future, hey, there he is, as a future educator. Yeah, I hope you're not driving, but yeah,
Waiting
Abigail,
for pickup.
Abigail, this is more resource driven. I always encourage
Okay.
you guys to get that information, especially your school district that you're going to work for. They have all those resources for you.
Okay. So just kind of stay engaged with those resources within
I
that
do it all the
community.
I have to. I do it all the time.
I've had some people say you need to find an advocate to get him into a non-public school, and I started researching that, and I'm kind of.
Well, you don't have to get an advocate, Abigail. I mean, some people out there, like family-focused resource centers, they can help you because they're free advocacy.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Even
Family
though you're
sources.
even though you're not a regional center client, you can call the FFR, Family-Focused Resource Centers. They're the
We
heart,
are at regional.
They're the heart and soul of the regional centers. They can give you advocacy as well. And Abigail, you do have a right to enroll your child in non-public school. Okay, you do have that right.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? I know, Renee, I'm running time here. Okay.
Thank you very much for the workshop.
Awesome. Hey, if you guys have, I put my email out there. I didn't give my number. I'm not going to do that. No way. And email me if you have personal questions. I know some of you have questions about personal cases and stuff. I'll be glad to give you some advice, maybe not the, a direction, if you will, but email me. I'm going to email it one more time to you, just in case for those who just walked in the door. Email me. I'll be glad to respond to you, and maybe we can chat. I can talk to you on a personal level on the phone and all that stuff. But I hope I'm spelling it right. So that's my email address. Oops, sorry. Hold on. I didn't do it right. Man. Hold on. I did it to one person. Before I leave, I will give you my email address again once more. See, Enriquez, I have a horrible speller. There you go. That's my email address, okay? Are we okay with questions? Are we good?
We're good. That was a lot of information. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Sorry, I know
your
I
time.
tried my best to get everything in there. I'm sorry, there's a lot of information, but please use your PowerPoints. That's going to help you, and email me if you have any questions on the PowerPoint. I wish you all the luck in the world. You're our future. Very happy to be part of your success. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you down the road, okay?
Thank you so much.
Guys, have
Thanks
fun
for
this whole
hosting.
week. Have fun, everybody. Have fun
Take care of
learning.
yourself.
Got it. Take care. I'll stay on for a little bit until you guys all leave me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have fun, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Delphina.
Bye. Thank you so much.
I'll stay on until everyone leaves. So if you have any questions, I'll be on for a little bit. Abigail, you're okay? Dominic, you're good? Okay, guys, I'm gonna leave. You guys take care, okay?